Back here at the Nutmeg Bowl in Fairfield, we're about to start our first semifinal match. You're looking at one of the competitors, George Tignor. He will match up against Eric Cornog. And Eric just started this match, Don Harger, the way you want to.
That is a great way to start the match, obviously. Put the ball right in the pocket, give your opponent something to think about.
This is a matchup, literally, of the student and the professor. Eric Cornog right there, a 22-year-old student at Rowan University in New Jersey. He's from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And George Tignor. George Tignor is a retired teacher and now an adjunct professor of drafting at Fitchburg State. And a split, not the way, the exact opposite start.
Yeah, George got that ball a little bit left to target, and what we saw in this tournament, if you kept the ball outside towards the gutter, you had a lot more hold. Once you missed to the left, that ball just takes off, and that one rolled up really high. He's looking at what's called a baby split, the 310.
He started his quarterfinal match with the same split. And like the quarterfinal match, begins this match with an open frame.
If you're going to throw an open frame, the first frame is the one you got to do it in because you got a lot more time to come back. So he's going to try to regroup. I'm sure he's thinking that he just has to get a little bit more extension with his arm and make sure that ball doesn't go left to target.
He's been bowling in NEBA for 42 years. This is the 49th year of the organization's existence. And a strong rally in the second frame.
That was a much better shot. He was able to keep the ball outside. The ball skidded, rolled, and then hooked. And he was able to mix those pins right up in the 1-3 pocket. Great shot.
So here comes Eric Cornog with his second frame. Started off this match with a strike. See what he has done throughout his NEBA career. Or actually his career. This is his first NEBA match or tournament.
Also gives you an idea that people come from all over. Cherry Hill, New Jersey against Massachusetts. It's a great tournament.
And Cornog is now 2 for 2.
He loved that shot. You know what? Eric has, in my opinion, an advantage. When you play the outside line, if you can throw the ball with a lot more speed, and you can put as many revs as you want on the bowling ball, and the speed will counteract the revs and it'll hold the ball to pocket. And when you get those revs in the pocket, your strike percentage goes up. George throws the ball a little bit slower. He's got to be a little bit more perfect with his timing and with his shot.
Cornog again, this is his first NEBA event, and he's reached the semifinals. A 2011 New Jersey State Masters runner-up.
Making it look easy, huh?
And the turkey to start the match for Eric Cornog.
He's really excited. He's really focusing on his own shots. He's not watching his opponent. He's doing everything he needs to do, putting the ball right where it needs to be. He's just going to kind of collect his thoughts back there, talk to his friends.
I think he'd like to walk out of the building maybe for a couple of frames. All right, here's George Tignor. Struck in the second after the open frame in the first. And got it to go. That's 2 straight.
That's a great shot by George. When your opponent starts off with a string of strikes, you definitely want to start off with him. If he gets comfortable very quickly, it could be over pretty soon. So George is telling him, hey, you know, this match has a lot more to go. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to match you strike for strike.
26 300 games in his career, and this is a man that has some prestigious championships under his belt. We'll talk about it throughout this match as he gets ready here in the 4th frame.
He's on the Storm staff, and he's also a Massachusetts State Hall of Famer.
And he Just leaves one. What happened there?
You know, as the bowling balls got more and more aggressive, that's the true tap in bowling today. That's a great shot. When your opponent the bowling ball is supposed to hit the 1, 3, 5, 9, but it had no deflection when it hit the pocket. It went right by the 9 pin. That's the tap in bowling. It's called a stone 9 or a solid 9. It's an easy spare to make, but when your opponent starts off with 3 in a row, that just cost him 21 pins in this match.
And the 9 pin picked up for the spare for George Tignor. And now here comes Eric Cornog with the turkey to start. Perfect heading into the 4th frame.
Now, when you're in this level of the bowling, when it's just, you know, mano a mano, right? It's not a marathon. It's a sprint. Whoever makes the right ball change, move on the lane, whatever, you have to do it quickly. So I'm sure George, you know, after the open frame in the first frame, he really found his line and he put the ball right where he had to. It's just a bad break. He left that 9 pin.
Cornog has his 4th strike in a row to start this match.
You know, we talked about equipment on previous shows. Eric is using this pink Stingray. It's like 20 years old.
It's as old as he is almost.
Exactly. And the ball is not quite as aggressive as other balls are today. And with this particular shot where you need the ball to go down the lane a very long way, this is a perfect ball choice for him, using something a little bit older, less aggressive, as we're going to learn with Chris Forey in a little while on the telecast. He's going to talk about the different bowling balls and the different releases that you need to use on a tournament shot like today.
Good look at the and there it is, 5 straight to open this match for Eric Cornog, really putting the pressure on George Tignor.
You know, Eric is also built for this shot because you have to get the ball long down the lane. I don't know what his wingspan is, but he's a big guy with long arms. For him to get the ball through the heads and straight down the lane very long, it plays perfectly into his body.
George Tignor working off of spare in the 4th. Following up with that strike. Playing lanes 54 and 53 here at Nutmeg.
That was a great shot by George. You'll see the extension that George has to get. When he throws the ball, he doesn't just let his arm swing stop. He's got to really extend through the shot to make sure that his ball rolls over his target, but it continues on that trajectory all the way straight down the lane. That was a perfect shot. He's got to stay low, and he's got to extend through every shot to make sure that he can hold that line.
And now a tough split.
I felt like he knew that he either didn't catch it on the bottom or he drifted with his feet a little bit to the left. And when he drifted to the left a little bit and he got the ball right, the ball, instead of going straight up the lane, it was actually going a little bit to the right, and it didn't have enough dry in the back end to come all the way back. He left himself a 2-8 spare, which is relatively easy, but again, your opponent's got the first 5. Every time he doesn't strike, it's going to make it tougher.
And he picks up the 2-8, continuing to mark after the open frame in the first. 98 through 5 with the mark in the 6th. Excuse me, yes, for Tignor. 98 through 5 with the spare in the 6th. For that semifinalist right there, George Tignor of Winchendon, Massachusetts. And now working on his string of 5 is Eric Cornog.
Yeah, Eric throws 2 more here, and he's up about 55 pins, so it's going to make it tougher for George.
Little kick action. It worked.
So, you know, you could tell by his body language he didn't love that shot. But when you're playing the extreme angle outside, you do have a little room for error because the ball's coming in on such a big angle. So because of the angle, as long as he hit the head pin, you've got a good opportunity to strike. He was very fortunate to get the strike, but even if he didn't, he would have probably left 1 pin or something easy to make. But he did get away with that break.
Take a look at this last one from the Elvis Costello lookalike.
Just watch his body language. Well, he kind of pulled up. He realized maybe he threw it a little too hard, but it just caught the head pin enough to carry the 10 pins.
Looking to strike here in the 7th frame, and that's the first time he's missed in this match.
Well, I don't know if you want to call it a miss. That was a perfect shot. It's called a stone 8. Again, these bowling balls are so aggressive, and when you're coming in from this big of an angle, again, no deflection when it hits the head pin. So that one ripped right through, and it didn't drive the 5 pin into the 8 pin. It just took it right off the back.
Does this provide an opening for Tignor?
Well, a slight one right now.
And he picks up the 5, so the 8, so 169 through 6 with the mark in the 7th.
When you have 2 or more strikes and then you leave a 9, that's 21 pins off your total game right there. So he's the best he can do is 279 right now. George is a little bit behind that, but if George starts striking right here, then he kind of just puts a little bit of pressure on Eric, where Eric right now has no pressure on him at all.
Tignor here in the 7th frame. And that 7 just wouldn't crumble.
That's a bad break. Well, his timing was just a hair off. With his arm swing, he was just a little bit late at the foul line, and when the ball started coming all the way back, it didn't make it all the way back at about 80%. It hit a little bit light, swishing 7. Again, a pretty easy spare, but he's running out of frames.
He sweeps that one up. A second straight spare for George Tignor in the 7th. That puts him at 117 through 6 with the spare to be counted, plus this ball in the 7th.
You notice he go to a plastic ball right there and went really straight. It was very difficult to make your spares on this tournament shot because there was so much oil to the outside and it was pretty dry on the inside.
Well, he cleans up quite nicely there.
That's a very good shot. He knows he needs it. He wanted the one before that to put a double, a little bit of pressure on Eric. But, you know, he's still in the match mathematically. If Eric stays clean, it's going to be a little bit tough.
Look at it again, and was his form as perfect as the shot?
It was. Watch the balance. He's in total control of his body. Great shot. Good reaction. That's how you do it.
Well, Tignor now watches. That one came straight in on the head pin, didn't it?
Yeah, as you saw, he got left to target just like George did on his first ball in this match. A little bit left to target. The ball just absolutely went dead left when that happened during this tournament. And again, I think it might have been a hair slow. So he's looking at a 6-10 spare. Relatively easy, but it's choppable, which means you can pick one or the other off.
He went right at it and took care of those final 2 to get the spare. And he's through 7 with a 50 pin advantage.
This is his first NEBA tournament. He's bowling George Tignor, one of the legends, right? He's as calm, cool, and collective as you could possibly be. These kids don't get scared anymore.
5 NEBA titles for Tignor, and Tignor has 2 high roller championships. A few years apart, in '87 in Atlantic City and in Las Vegas in 1998.
That is a huge accomplishment.
Cornog with some encouragement verbally, and he picks up a needed strike.
Eric has just a little bit more speed and a few more revolutions than George does, and when Eric's ball hits the pocket, it just hits a little bit harder than George.
Are we talking about a young gun as opposed to the wily veteran?
That's how it is.
And here is Tignor in the 9th frame. And what went wrong there?
So pretty much this match is all but over right now. George knows it. He's just going through the motions right now. He's at a 177 pace if he strikes spares all the way out, and Eric's already got 217, so he's just going through the motions.
Nicely picked up, but a tremendous tournament for George Tignor to reach this semifinal stage. 148 competitors began this tournament yesterday, going through the qualifying stages and then into the final stage, the bracket of 32.
Nobody likes to be the first one to go home. However, he bowled tremendously just to get here.
And the 10 won't drop.
A little weak 10 pin. We didn't really see too many 10 pins in this tournament. If you made the pocket and your angle of entry was right, you did get rewarded, but I think I saw more 9 pins and 8 pins than I did 10 pins, which is a little bit uncharacteristic for right-handed bowlers.
And he is able to mop up the 10. We get back to the action here at Nutmeg Lanes, and he will now watch as Eric Cornog will finish off and move on to the championship match.
I had mentioned that George had a pace of 176, actually 196 if he strikes here. I think I might need to borrow your glasses. I can't see that far anymore.
And right into the pocket for Eric Cornog.
That sealed the deal right there. He might go for an area check on the last 2 balls.
What do you mean by that?
He might just move a little bit, see how the ball reacts, because if he has to move for the final match, we'll get an idea what to do.
And George Tignor wanting some love from the audience, the crowd here at Nutmeg Lanes, after finishing with a strike and, well, in the 10th frame to start it.
Like I said, George is a legend here, so he's got a lot of fans.
And was that an experiment for Eric?
I hope so, for his sake. I would hate to think he just threw the ball he wants to use in the finals and get that kind of reaction. That's just a tap. I don't know if you really do anything on your next shot. You know, you leave a 7-10 in the pocket. It's just a freak thing.
Well, take it. No. Kind of tell he didn't really worry about that shot. And that'll wrap it up. 253 to 196 for Eric Cornog, our first semifinal winner. And now a chance for him to rest and think about his thoughts. And what do you do now when you're in the situation of you've got, say, roughly a half an hour before your championship match?
So what Eric's going to do, he's just going to relax. He's got a lane a little bit down. So if he wants to warm up, stay loose. He's a pretty young kid. He might not have to do that. Me, I would have to walk over there with a walker and try to get loose. But I think he's just going to relax and enjoy the win he just had and wait to see who's going to win this match.
All right, so Eric Cornog has moved on to the championship match, and we are going to prepare to bring you the second semifinal of the BuddiesProShop.com Open here at Nutmeg Bowl in Fairfield. We'll be back with all the action on CPTV Sports.